London Airport was the starting place of the Duke of Edinburgh when he left for Oslo en route for the Olympic Games. The Duke was making a short visit to King Haakon of Norway before flying on to Helsinki. And at Helsinki, the celebrations of the 15th Olympiad bring the time-honored Games to Finland for the first time. The Olympic Stadium was built in 1940 for the Games that were cancelled through the Russian invasion. Unlike the days of ancient Greece, when wars were suspended to allow each country to send its champion to Olympia. Yet Helsinki marks a new page in Olympic history, for the Germans have marched back into the Olympic fold together with competitors from Japan. The Soviet Union, too, has entered for the first time, though their isolated quarters, 9 miles from the Olympic Village, brings the Iron Curtain into the world of sport. But the spirit of the Games triumphs, and in a pre-Olympic roundup of the Finnish capital, we found the Hungarian team we welcomed to Wembley for the 1948 Games. And Canadians, some of them hard at training, determined to capture their share of the honors that regularly go to the New World. Hopeful, too, are members of the Nigerian team. In the Olympic Village are the quarters of the British team, who we found ignoring any omens and determined to win our first post-war athletic gold medal. Good luck to them all. We know they'll accept victory or defeat in the true manner of sportsmen. Sportsmen like Arthur Wint of Jamaica. So, the great day dawns with 7,000 athletes ready to compete in the greatest modern Olympiad for the glory of sport. The opening day, and the British team, led by flag bearer Harold Whitlock, 1936 Olympic walker, and watched by Lord Burleigh, parade into the arena. And marching in this great cavalcade, the nations are united by Olympic ideals. Japan and Germany, past enemies of peace, but both with so much to contribute to international athletics. Now the Russians, their men dressed in white, to convince the world that sporting endeavor, not political prestige, has attracted their entry. A team from Korea, too, and then an unrehearsed incident as a young woman tries to make a peace plea.
Ladies and gentlemen!
The girl, dressed in Grecian robes, is a law student from West Germany. After President Paasikivi of Finland has declared open the Games, thousands of doves are released to carry off their message of Olympic peace. And then, the dramatic moment as the Olympic torch, kindled in far-off Greece, arrives in the stadium, carried by 55-year-old Paavo Nurmi, the Flying Finn, past winner of 9 gold medals. So the Olympic flame is kindled to burn throughout the Games, perhaps symbolic of the fierce competition that will rage in the true fellowship of sport.
Welcome everybody to the first ever Olympic Games with Formula 1 and Formula 2 in 1952. After taking into consideration, the organisers have decided to approve the idea that we will have motorsport racing in the Olympic Games. Now, the rules for teams to enter are they have to have at least two drivers from their respective nations. They could be drivers from F1, any of the series supported by F1, IndyCar, the World Endurance Championship, and of course the World Rally Championship. So, if any teams happen to have 7 or more individuals in any of the series combined, then they can form an F2 team. Now there'll be 2 races where they'll have multi-class race where F1 and F2 drivers will be competing together, and we'll also have 2 oval races. So without further ado, let's take a look at the driver lineup. Our first team we're going to look at is Italy, and they've brought in Alberto Ascari and Giuseppe Farina to represent their nation. With Alberto Ascari winning the 1952 Formula 1 season, he is probably expected to win the 1952 Formulalympics season. Could his teammate Giuseppe Farina have a say to that? And of course in F2 we've got Pier Taruffi and Luigi Villaresi, two drivers who are the favourites to win the F2 season in the Formulalympic Games. Will anyone else have a say to that? Our second team we have competing in the Formulalympics is Switzerland. With no F2 teams, so Switzerland will only have just their F1 lineup, which is Rudi Fischer and Peter Hurt. Can the Swiss team give us a surprising result, maybe even put a challenge to the Italian team? Well, time will tell. Our third team we have competing is the United Kingdom, with Mike Hawthorne and Ken Wharton representing the nation in F1. In F2 they have brought in Alan Brown and Dennis Poor to bring Britain to glory. Will they bring Britain to glory, or will they crash and burn during the season? Well, time will tell, and we shall see what happens. Next up is our fourth F1 team and our third F2 team. It is France. Now France bringing a strong lineup with Robert Manson and Sean Berra. Could they be in contention to win the 1952 Formulalympics Championship? And in F2 bring in Maurice Trintignant and Louis Rosier. That sounds like a team set up for success, but can the French team deliver? Time will tell. Rounding off the first five teams, it is Argentina, with only an F1 team entry with José Froilán González and Alberto Crespo. Can the two Argentines representing their nation pull off a decent result for their country, or will Argentina be struggling this season? Well, predictions say that they might struggle this season with González and Crespo, but anything can happen in the Formulalympics, and predictions could end up being entirely wrong. Belgium are next, and they have Paul Ferreira and Johnny Claes representing their nation, also with no F2 team. They are another team that are probably expected to be struggling this season, but as I said earlier with Argentina, predictions could be wrong, and Belgium may give us a few surprises. Team number 7, which is West Germany, and another team predicted to be to struggle in this season. We've got Fritz Ries and Tony Allman in the F1 team to represent their nation, while their F2 counterparts will be represented by Helmut Niedermeyer and Hans Klink. We might get a surprise in West Germany, but will they be ones that'll struggle throughout the season? Well, we're going to have to find out and see what happens. Next up, Brazil. With no F2 team, they only have their F1 division to represent their nation, which will be with Chico Landi and Gino Bianco. Another team expected to struggle, but another team with the capability to surprise us. Team number 9, it is the Netherlands, with Jan Flinteman and Dries van der Loof representing their nation. No F2 team, and they are expected to be roughly towards the bottom of the standings during the season. But the Netherlands could surprise us. They might not be bottom. In fact, they could do pretty well if they have luck on the side. Another team that's probably favoured to finish bottom of the season, along with the Netherlands, is East Germany, with Ernst Klodwig and Rudolf Kraus representing the country. With no F2 division, can the East German team not finish last? Can they beat the Netherlands? Or will someone else be finished bottom of the standings? Who knows? That brings us on to our final team, the United States, using only drivers from the AAA competition, with Troy Ruttman and Chuck Stevenson expected to do well, while Sam Hanks and Jim McGrath also expected to do well in their F2 teams. Can they live up to expectations? Could they even beat everyone to take the title? Well, we will find out. And that is your set of teams for this first Formulalympics season. Now, what there'll be there to note is there will be a 110% rule in place for F1, which will not be applied to F2. Basically, if a driver fails to make 110% of the pole time, they will not qualify to compete in a race. In F2, there'll be a reverse grid and a main race. So the F2 teams will be doing half the races, but will be doing the races they attend twice. So they'll do a total of 16 races along with the F1 teams. However, there'll be 2 rounds of Le Mans where both F1 and F2 drivers will be competing together. So, and we'll also have 2 oval tracks during the course of the season. So we have a real variety of tracks throughout the Olympic season. I hope you're excited for it, as I am, as we are going to be embarking on an adventure to find out who will win the first ever Formula Olympic season. So hope you stay tuned and find out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week, and hopefully we will get things underway.